So, you want to know the 5 things everyone should know about menopause? Sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Like a quick checklist. But what if I told you the most important thing to know isn't a fact on some list? What if it's actually a question?
All right, so let's get to it. What are these 5 things? It's a question that, a lot of us have probably thought about. But what's really surprising is how few of us can actually answer it. And that includes people who are going to go through it themselves.
And right there, that's the central paradox, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about a biological reality for roughly half the planet. It's a huge, fundamental part of life. And yet, it's like it's shrouded in this wall of silence. And you know what thrives in silence, right? Misconceptions, bad information. So the big question is, why?
Well, that question leads us directly to our first major point. We're calling it the Great Knowledge Gap. And trust me, this is where the whole problem really starts.
Listen, if you feel like you're in the dark about menopause, or maybe you've heard some things that just don't add up, it is not your fault. The source material we're looking at is really clear on this. This isn't a personal failure. It's systemic. We're talking about deep-rooted social and educational barriers that have basically shut down honest, accurate conversations for generations. And if you need a number to wrap your head around just how big this gap is, here it is. 90%. I mean, that's a huge number, just staggering. But what does it actually mean? What is 90% of? Okay, here's the context. There was a survey back in 2021, and it found that over 90% of postmenopausal participants had never learned a single thing about menopause at school. I'm not kidding. Not just the complex stuff, not even the basics. Zero. Nothing. So think about that for a second. What happens when you have this massive, universal life event that almost nobody gets taught about? Well, the impact in the real world it's huge. And for a lot of people, it's really, really negative. And this next quote from our source really hits hard. When researchers asked people to describe what menopause was like for them, one word kept popping up over and over again: nightmare. And they didn't just mean the physical symptoms. They were talking about the mental and emotional toll of being completely blindsided by it all.
So, why a nightmare? What makes it that bad? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a perfect storm. First, there's the shock of it just happening, taking you completely by surprise. Then there's the confusion. You've got symptoms that could easily be mistaken for something else entirely. And on top of all that, you have these really severe effects that can totally wreck your quality of life. We're talking hot flashes, chronic insomnia, and people are just left to figure it all out alone.
Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom. Thankfully, that wall of silence, it's starting to crack. And a huge reason for that is the incredible work being done by dedicated experts who are dragging this whole topic out into the open. And one of the key experts our sources point to is Professor Kate Clancy. Her field is human reproductive ecology, which, gives her a super unique and really well-informed perspective on all this. She's absolutely one of the leading voices out there trying to close that knowledge gap we were talking about. And this is so important. Experts like Professor Clancy, they're on the front lines, actively fighting all those misconceptions. How? By giving people the science-backed answers they've been missing for so long. And because of that, the whole conversation is starting to shift. It's moving away from being this scary, unknown thing and toward being something we can actually understand. Okay, so this brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole explainer. We've covered the problem, we've looked at the impact, we've talked about the experts, but what about you? What can you personally do about all this? So how do you prepare? Look, it's not about memorizing a textbook's worth of symptoms. It's actually way simpler and way more powerful. Step 1 is just acknowledging this knowledge gap exists, that it's real. And step 2? Start talking. Seriously, talk to your family, your friends, and definitely talk to your doctor. Because this isn't just about you. It's about breaking a cycle of silence that has gone on for way too long. And that, right there, is the real takeaway. Remember how we started? We didn't actually want to just hand you a list of 5 facts. What we wanted to show you is that the most powerful tool you have isn't a pre-made list. It's the curiosity and the courage to go find the answers for yourself. So we're going to end on this final thought. The title of our source was 5 things everyone should know. But maybe, just maybe, the important question isn't what are the 5 things? Maybe the real question we should all be asking is, why was a system ever built where half the population wasn't even taught to ask about this in the first place? That's something to think about.